Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the United States, 10 AM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Hope you guys are well and you had a good weekend. My apologies if during the intro you heard any background noise. I realised I forgot to mute my mic. So you may have heard some Katy Perry playing in the background, hopefully not. We'll find out if Twitch mutes any of my VODs today. But it's all good now, she's turned off. Again, what we're doing is we're working on an Art Deco building in the Unreal Engine 4.17.1. We've created the environment, we've brought the building in, we're working on the interior assets for the building at the moment to make sure that all looks pretty before we do a final cinematic fly-through of the environment and the building. This is the building in Max that we brought into Unreal. Again, just for the benefit of anyone that may be new, I'm going to quickly play this video, which is still shots of the environment. The final environment will be fully animated and moving in the wind. These are just still shots though, and while this plays through, I'm going to have a quick drink because I'm a bit dehydrated. Okay. Do remember guys, if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure about, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help, I'm happy to try. If you just want to pop in and say hello, that's always welcome. If you just want to watch though, that's completely fine. Like I say to you guys, there are many times that I watch guys on Twitch and don't chat, so that's completely okay. But I'm here if you want to chat to me. So again, this is our environment that we've created. We will do a final pass on the environment before we start the cinematic, creating the cinematic, just to make sure everything looks right. And there aren't any areas that we can improve upon or just touch up on. All right, let's stop that there and jump into Unreal. So this is our environment in Unreal. We're working from the front of the building toward the back as far as getting the assets all placed for the walls and that type of thing, the doors and window frames. So it's the front entry. This is the upstairs side entry, front hallway. We were working on this little window box section here last week. I probably want to finish this off today, I think. I want to texture up this white wall in here. It's way too clean looking and it's just not natural. So we'll look at doing that in a minute. We have our main entry here. Let's just go down the bottom first. So our camera will be coming through this wrought iron gatework. And then we're going to go up our stairwell here. Again, I'm going to be placing furniture in this level, but I haven't placed anything yet. I'll do that at the end once we're finished doing the interior pieces before I start placing the furniture. And the fog value is too high at the moment. We are going to knock that back, but I'll wait until I've actually finished the interior and we start doing a pass on the exterior before I start adjusting the fog. So this is our main room in through here, with our chandeliers that are using a proper glass material for our well, crystal material here for refraction for our chandeliers. If you look at the door frame in the background, we can see that that's refracting correctly. And then last week we finished on doing the floors for the side hall sections and out here. Now I just do want to take these back quickly into Substance Painter because I'm noticing that the bump on this is way too high, and I think the reason for that is even though I turned off the height information on the two layers we're using, I didn't turn off the normal information, and the normal is just looking a bit too much. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll fix that. And I also noticed our tile is actually running in a different direction from the other side. If I sort of angle the camera here, you see our tiles run that way, and in this side they're running that way, and that's not correct either. So we'll fix that at the same time. We're just going to decide on which way we want the tile to run. Do I want the point to be facing the wall, or do I want the point to be facing sideways? And I think just keeping an eye on OBS over here. It really hates Unreal for some reason. That's why I can't turn real time on. OBS freaks out if I turn real time on. But again, all of our chandeliers and light fittings do sway in the breeze. They're all physics objects, so they do slightly move. That'll just give us a bit of life when we do our cinematic inside the building. But first things first, we're going to decide what way we want these tiles to run. And I actually think maybe running this way is better, so I might change this one around. Anyway, let's jump into Substance Painter so we can fix that up. We already have the projects created, so we've only got to load them up and do a few small alterations. I think it's floor right. I think. We'll find out. Yep. So with this one, I'm going to rotate the texture around. 90 degrees. We have to do that on both of them because we're using two layers of the same thing, just to add a dirt layer on top of our original tile. And I also want to turn off the height and normal map here. So we've already turned off the height, but I'm also going to turn off the roughness and the normal. Metallic as well. All I really want is the color information from the dirt layer at the top here. If I turn that off, you can see what I mean. I'm just dirtying the tile up a little bit, make it look a bit more realistic. But because we're doubling up on the same texture, we want to turn off the metal, the roughness, the normal and the height. Let's just save our project and export our textures again. Stairwell floor right. Let's load up the other one. I don't want to make any rotation of the texture on this one, but I do want to turn off those normal map and height maps. So we'll start here. We've got the height off, we've got to turn the normal, the rough and the metal. So just leaving the color information on the top layer. Save and re-export our textures. Stairwell center floor. Okay. Just excuse me for 2 secs, guys. My phone is going off here. I just want to fix that. Okay. Alright, let's jump back into Unreal. Let's find where we imported our textures, which will be, I think we put them here, yeah. Stairwell center floor. We didn't make any adjustments to the color map, but I'm just going to re-import them just to be on the safe side anyway. And same with this one just here. Wait for that to go away so I can read what's going on. Okay. Just help to knock that back a little bit. We don't have quite as much bump going on there now. I'm just looking at this. It doesn't look like it's rotated my texture around, so I want to work out why. Did I import the right one? I don't think I did. No, it looks like I did. Alright, let's jump back quickly into Substance and have a look at what's going on there. Floor right. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I'm just going to turn off the top layer so I can concentrate on the bottom one to begin with. Did I re-import that texture, or did I forget? Stairwell floor right, let's just make sure. I did. Okay. Let's just check the other one quickly again. Okay, I just want to make sure I get the tiling on these two separate pieces of floor because they're meant to match in the level. I want to make sure that the tiling looks like it matches, and at the moment the smaller piece looks like the triangle is facing in the other direction. I'm just trying to work out why. It looks like these triangles are a little bit skewed as well compared to the other piece, so wrong one. So I think what I'll do here is I'm going to turn off lock UV scaling, and I'm going to scale one a little bit more. Maybe a bit less. Okay. Let's try that. Export. Stairwell floor right. Just want to make sure what it's called so I don't get lost when I come back. Stairwell floor right, yep. Actually, I just realized I need to do that to both of those layers. So 1.53 and 0. And there we go. That's just a dirt layer I've placed over the top of the original tile to give it just a bit more, to make it look dirty, because nothing is ever completely clean. Alright, let's export it now. And re-import it again. Okay. Now it's a tile size. And I actually think I prefer this larger looking tile to this smaller black and white tile. So yeah, I prefer the larger square looking tile, as it's more in keeping with the other tiles we've got going on in the room. So I think what I'll do with this one is I'll just scale it up a bit. Let's make sure we save that so we can come back to it if we ever do want to change it again. Yeah, let's make this one, again, let's start with the base layer. Let's scale it a little bit less. Let's try 4 and 4. Let's try 2. Okay, so we've got 4, 2. Let's turn the dirt layer back on and just make sure we scale that the same. Save our project and re-export our textures. And stairwell center floor. And let's just re-import them again. Looks like it may be a bit big. Alright, let's get into a position where we can see this now. Yeah, I think that's a bit too big. I want it a smaller size like it is on this side, so that's okay. That's why we work with Substance Painter. It's easier for us to make these changes. So let's try 6 and 3. Okay. Re-import our textures again. Let's have a look. I think that's better. We're getting a better match now between the two different size tiles, or the two different sections of the floor. Alright. Let's just do a quick save here because I turned autosave off. So I have to make sure I remember to save my file. What will we work on now? Now, I do want to start working on the walls in here. We don't have any of the paneling placed on the walls, so we've got to do that. I'm just trying to work out how I want to tackle the wall that runs around this stairwell here. We have to change the carpet here as well, actually, because I want to make it more like the carpet we've got going on the stair here, which is actually a separate mesh that's sitting on top of the step that I created in ZBrush just to sculpt up some folds and things in the carpet. It's harder to see here, but there are slight folds in the carpet just so it looks more carpety. Whereas the one here on the back step is just a flat texture that's assigned to the stair. And if we look at the edges here, those really hard edges are really not natural. Now, because I created this back in 2006 for UDK, and I'm redoing it now for UE4, and video cards and everything are a lot better now, we can afford to up the polys on this so we can get rid of these really hard edges that we're seeing. So it's more like the one on the steps here, where you see we've got a nice soft edge going on the carpet, which looks much more natural. So we do have to tackle that. Just before we do that though, I really want to sort of work out what I'm going to do here with these walls, because we have to work out what we're going to do with the ceiling too. And I'm thinking about, we may put a ceiling light up here, like a window glass paneling, I should say. It might look interesting to have light shining down our stairwell here. We'll tackle that a little bit later though. Let's work out what we're doing with our walls first. And these are really high walls. Probably plaster paneling on this side and on the ends where the windows go, but for the actual stairwell, I'm thinking maybe we should bring in some wood paneling to better match what we've got going on in here, because we have this wood paneling we're using through the stairwell and through our main room. And I think that might look really interesting if we run that, maybe a half panel along here and then along here. I have to decide whether I want the paneling to follow the angle of the step, or if I want to square it off. And I'm actually thinking if we square the panel off, starting at the top of our banister here, running it along to halfway up the wall here, might look interesting. Just around the central stairwell here. And then we'll use plaster paneling for above it. But anyway, let's start with the plaster paneling. Let's bring that in through here. So let's grab some plaster and start moving it around. Let's jump back into our main hallway here. I'm just looking at our plaster pieces, because we have different size plaster pieces. I think we created 3. We created a really wide one, a narrower one, and then we created some that are just plain without decoration in them, just to fill up any gaps here and there. So I think we'll grab one of the larger ones here. That's the narrow one. Let's grab the large one and bring it back. If it's not the right one, we can use it somewhere else anyway, or delete it. Again, I'm doing this in the perspective viewport, but it's probably easier if you work in the orthographic, the top, front and side views. I don't do it that way while I'm streaming, simply because it's much more boring for you to look at. So I work in the perspective, but you'll probably find it easier to work in the orthographic. Anyway, let's work on this side wall first. Now, I do know I want to place a wooden paneling piece sort of through here against the wall to cover that that join, and that join is actually the cement floor that separates the bottom from the top. And I think what I'll do to cover that is I'll borrow one of these pieces we're using here, these wooden decorative pieces under the step. I could either grab one of them or I could grab one of these decorative pieces, but yeah, I think these will look better, so we'll use these. Duplicate, that's what I want. Okay, let's move our panels into place. Now again, we don't have any lighting set up in here, so until I start actually placing physical lights, the assets are going to look a little weird, particularly until we do a rebuild as well. So that's the reason that it's shadowing in a strange way at the moment. We have no lighting, and our lighting will need to be rebuilt. Let's duplicate it, then we'll have to scale them in a bit. I want to make sure, I think they need to come down just a little bit. We have a bit of a gap there. Okay, let's duplicate them one more time for above as well. Again, I just want to make sure it's not sticking outside of my building here. Okay. Let's scale these ones in a bit. We actually do have those two smaller pieces. I'm just wondering whether they might be better. Because again, we've got to be careful with the scaling. We don't distort that pattern too much. Yeah, I may do that. I'm just going to jump back down to the front and grab two of the smaller pieces we created. Which will be... probably these ones here. Rotate them around 180 degrees. No, don't rotate them around. Already facing in the right direction. We'll do the same thing here. We'll take one of those wooden pieces and place it in there to hide the cement floor that separates the two rooms. But I'll just get this placed in position first and then we can look at that. So let's pull it back. Scale it in just a little bit. Move it down. MTV Gaming Room, thank you very much for the follow. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Again, I stream, my schedule doesn't change as far as Twitch goes. It's every Monday, Tuesday, usually a Wednesday, but I can't do Wednesdays at the moment simply because the studio's got too much work on. But certainly every Monday, Tuesday. Gamer Art 101, good to see you. Oh, hey Phil, yeah, I remember you, Game Art, yep. We met on one of your recent streams, we chatted about render engines and all that goodness. What's up? Yep. What am I working on? I'm still working on that Art Deco building you saw me working on last week. This is our project for Twitch at the moment. We're nearly finished it, thank goodness. And then we're going to move on to something else. But yep, I remember talking about the render engines. I did check out that one that you were talking about, the one that was just for Macs. It looked interesting. It still looks like it's in development though. Can't remember the name of it now, but it was the one that you mentioned was the render engine just created for Macs at the moment, only available for Macs. It does look interesting, but yeah, it looks like they're still developing it. So how's things anyway? What you been up to? Did you have a good weekend? Let's duplicate this one. Game Art says, did you use photos for those wall designs or did you create normal maps from a Photoshop filter? These wall designs were created in Photoshop, these plaster panel pieces you see me using here. So let's talk through how I made them. I used a photograph of a pattern for that middle piece. It wasn't actually a wall. The original image wasn't for a wall, but I used it for the pattern there. Then I used different patterns here and here. So this wall piece is not like just a photograph that I've used. It's one that I put together or composited in Photoshop. And then I took that color picture, that color texture into Knald, K-N-A-L-D, which is this program here, to create the normal map and the metallic specular, all that type of thing. Knald is a great program and I really like it because I can load in my 3D object that I'm working on my texture for and see how it will look as I'm adjusting my normal maps. And it really gives you very fine control over your normal map, over the detailing in your normal map, from the extra fine detail to the extra large detail, which you don't get with some 3D normal map programs. They just sort of convert it for you and don't give you a lot of adjustment, but Knald really allows you to completely adjust your normal map. So I use it quite a bit. And that's K-N-A-L-D. I think it's made by Eat3D, is the company that make it. I know that Sniper Echo purchased it because he saw me using it and he really likes it. So, and you can do your mapping from high poly to low poly in it and all that type of stuff as well. So it's a useful program to have if you're making normal maps and stuff quite a bit. Yeah, I recommend it. I use it all the time. I've used Crazy Bump in the past. That was very popular for a while. Game Art says, nice. Have I ever used NDO, DDO? Yeah, I haven't used them. I know of them. No, I haven't used that software. I've used Crazy Bump. I've used the NVIDIA one that's built in a plugin for Photoshop. I don't recommend that. It's a good plugin. It's free, but yeah, it's pretty basic. What else have I used over the years? That's probably about it. Generally, I used to use Max's built-in high to low poly and bake out normal maps through Max, but I prefer this null program now. But is NDO a good software? I know some people use it, some people love it. I can't remember what one of the guys that was regular on my channel used to use. He was a ZBrush artist. He used to do a lot of character work. I can't remember the name of the software he used, but it's another really popular one. Of course, there are free ones. You don't have to buy a program to do your normal maps, but this software is not too expensive. I think it's about $100 for an indie license. And like I said, you can do other things apart from normal maps with it. And just as an aside for anyone that's using the Unreal Engine now, you know that Unreal have incorporated what they're calling bent normals now. And you can certainly create your bent normal maps using knald, K-N-A-L-D. Just for people using UE4 are curious about bent normals and how you make them, you can use that software to do it. I'm sure there's others as well, but yeah, it does bent normals as well. And that's a new feature that Epic added to Unreal Engine 4.17, bent normal maps. It's basically a way to get your occlusion to look more realistic, I guess you could say. Your ambient occlusion shadowing by using a bent normal map. We're not going to be using bent normals for this project, but yeah, certainly worth looking at if you are making something in Unreal now. But bent normals are only available, as far as I'm aware, in 4.17 and on of the engine. Okay, let's duplicate these two. Now again, I turned snapping off, but you're probably better to keep snapping turned on. I just find a lot of the times I want a bit more control than snapping gives me. Now, I need something to separate these two paneling pieces because the join is looking a bit strange. So I need to find out a way I can cover that. So what will we use? We can use these wooden borders again. We'll see what they look like. If they don't work, then I may have to create something in Max that I'm going to have to bring in. Anytime I can get away with using something I've already created, I prefer to do that. But if I can't, then yeah, I may have to bring in something else to cover those joins. We may be able to get away with that. We'll use that for the time being, and if once we start fleshing out this area a bit more, it looks a bit strange, we'll look at creating something specifically for it. again, we're going to rebuild our lighting before we're going to get it proper looking, and we've got to actually place lights in here before we get proper looking lighting happening here in our paneling. Just to keep that in mind. We need another piece for up here above this doorway, central doorway. So let's just grab one of these and copy it. Again, just making sure we're not sticking through the wall anywhere. Yeah, and we'll put like a glass skylight, I think, up through here, because having some light shining down this wall would look really interesting when we do our cinematic. But to do that, I'm going to have to make some adjustments to our building roof here, because I didn't initially have that in mind when I created it. So we're going to have to cut up our roof to fix that up. Alright, let's look at this side of the wall before we start tackling what's going on around our stairwell. I'm going to grab just a plain piece for above this doorway on the other side. Let's duplicate it for the other side as well. It looks like I've got to take that further back because it's sticking through our piece above the door. But let's just copy this one first. Hey Sniper Echo, good to see you.